Does your candidate intend to balance the national budget? And if so, how?
Absolutely. Let's be honest though, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be easy. It's going to require some tough choices. And what Barack Obama has said is, first and foremost, we get out of Iraq. That saves $10 billion a month. That's not an insignificant amount of money. Second, we allow the Bush tax cuts on the very wealthy to expire. And that is further going to add additional revenue into our coffers and allow us to further reduce the deficit. Next, we turn to programs. There are programs that are going to have to be cut, and Barack Obama is more than willing to do that. He's going to go line by line, program by program, and find what can be cut. We don't need to give $4 billion to the oil industry in tax breaks. That's money that we can get back into our coffers that can reduce the budget deficit. There are lots of other similar programs that can be cut. But what Barack Obama is not going to do is what John McCain talked about, which is a spending freeze, which really, as he said, is like using a sledgehammer when you need a scalpel. All that would wind up doing is taking key programs, whether it's pre-kindergarten education, healthcare, programs to help the environment, and potentially slashing them, the most important programs being slashed, while giving tax breaks to the wealthy. That's not what we need. Bill Clinton did raise taxes on the wealthy, and guess what? The budget deficit became a budget surplus, and the economy grew. And so the people who say raising taxes on the wealthy hurts the economy, hardly, because wealthy people under Barack Obama would still pay less in taxes than they did under Ronald Reagan. So I think that's really the key to moving ahead and the key to reducing the deficit. Build a stronger economy, restore the tax rates to what they were under the Clinton years, and cut programs as they can be cut. And they can and they will be.
Thank you, Councillor. Parmenides, please.
Thank you. I find it a little ironic whenever anybody tries to argue that Barack Obama is somehow this fiscal conservative in the mold of Bill Clinton. Barack Obama has proposed nearly $1 trillion of identifiable spending. Now that's that's from 76 programs out of 176 that he plans to implement, that they can actually achieve some kind of estimate for costs. And even that may be being somewhat conservative. So we could be talking, in fact, several trillion. But just for sake of argument, let's say it's only $1 trillion. The Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center has said that Barack Obama's plan will increase the deficit more than John McCain's. How can you believe that a man who's going to implement 177 new spending programs is going to be some kind of fiscal conservative who's going to go through the budget and start slashing programs? It's ridiculous. When Bill Clinton raised taxes on the wealthy, that money went into easing the deficit. The money that Barack Obama wants to take from the wealthy will go into paying a small fraction of his new spending, and it won't even come close to covering it. The fact of the matter is he's either going to massively increase the deficit, or he's going to end up having to tax lower and lower and lower until every single one of us is paying much higher taxes. Now, John McCain has a record of being a fiscal hawk, and his spending freeze, which, by the way, it's a hatchet, not a sledgehammer, it makes sense. He has said he will continue spending for the most vital programs and freeze spending while they go line by line through the budget to find programs and see whether all the programs, whether they're overfunded, whether they need to be reformed or totally eliminated. I just don't see how you can compare the two.
Thank you very much, Parmenides. And we're going to move on to immigration now, starting with you. Whilst it has dropped off the radar as a primary issue, illegal immigration from Mexico will certainly continue to be a problem. With the forecast downturn in world economics, what do you believe can be done to both help improve the quality of life in that country and ease the strain it puts on ours?
Well, obviously, the answer to easing the strain that Mexico's illegal immigration into the United States puts on us is border security. Now, this is an issue on which Republicans generally have a natural advantage, and that's why, unfortunately, in this cycle, in this election cycle, many Hispanics who are traditionally Republican voters have turned to the Democrats because they believe that the Democrats are sort of easier when it comes to illegal immigration. Now, it's somewhat ironic considering that John McCain has a record of being very progressive when it comes to integrating immigrants. But he has recognized the need for strong border security. And in his home state of Arizona, they have something called a virtual fence. Now, this is not a real fence, which we all know doesn't work anyways. You can get through or under or over one of those things in 2 minutes if you have a group of people with you. What it does is it uses helicopters, surveillance cameras, and other advanced technologies to act as a sort of virtual fence to watch immigrants coming in and out of the country. And that's the kind of leadership that on this issue that John McCain will bring. Now, as far as enhancing the quality of life in Mexico, one word: trade. John McCain supports trade with other countries. Barack Obama says he does, but much like nuclear power, it's in the hypothetical sense that it has to be absolutely perfect right now or he won't agree with it. He will compromise NAFTA. He will compromise every free trade agreement that we have and future ones that we may be developing. And trade is absolutely essential, not just to our economy, but to the economy of of other nations like Mexico, so that they aren't putting so much of a burden on us, so that they have more reason to stay in their own country and live a happy and successful and contented life there.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Cubs fan.
Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about immigration. This certainly is a major issue, although I think that because of the economic problems we've been having, actually illegal immigration has dropped a little bit. But it's still a major issue. And here's how Barack Obama feels about it. He also supports strong borders, much like John McCain. He supports additional personnel to do the job and infrastructure and technology at the borders and also at ports of entry. Also, we can remove some of the incentive of people to come here illegally by cracking down on employers who hire undocumented immigrants. Many of these employers are hiring these undocumented immigrants at substandard wages, putting them in bad working conditions, essentially exploiting them just to increase their profit. Now, that has to end. And by stopping that kind of abuse, we can also discourage illegal immigration. But we also want to bring people out of the shadows, okay? People may have come here illegally or maybe undocumented, but if they've worked here and lived here for many years, paid taxes, done important services for the community, they should be able to stay. Now Barack Obama supports a system that allows undocumented immigrants who are in good standing to pay a fine, learn English, and then get in line essentially for the opportunity to become citizens. Now, this is a reasonable plan, and this will work. But as for free trade, guess what? Obama does support free trade. He just wants workers' rights protected and environmental concerns addressed. Now, that's good for the countries like Mexico, which need to improve their workers' rights and need to improve their environmental conditions. And it's also good for workers here. A stronger trade agreement would help workers here, help them keep their jobs, and help them keep good jobs at good wages. I don't think anyone can disagree with that.
Thank you very much, Cubs fan. Now, we're moving on to health. Starting with you, Cubs fan, please. How does your candidate plan to address the issue of rising healthcare and health insurance costs?
Well, honestly, I think healthcare is probably one of the biggest problems in America right now. I mean, all of us have, at least for a time, probably been without healthcare. It's a serious concern, and it's the number one reason for bankruptcies in America. People can't afford to pay their healthcare bills if they don't have insurance or if they have bad insurance. Here's what Senator Obama is going to do. If you like your health insurance as it is now, if you have an employer plan and you like it, you keep it. The government doesn't get involved. The government doesn't select your doctors. You keep your same plan. $2,500 per year you will save on average under Obama's plan. And that's accomplished through lowering drug costs, requiring hospitals to collect healthcare cost and quality data, improving the hospitals,